So I'm Jody King Colegrove with Quantum Techniques, and I wanted to kind of introduce you to the things that I've learned to help me be healthy. So I'm a really strong component, if you've ever worked with me, of Mark Hyman and his cookbooks. I think I have 3 of them. I really like them, and they have a lot of soup recipes. So today we're starting with tomato bisque, and the first bases that we're going to use are carrot juice, and we use 3 cups of that. And I've already washed my vegetables, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I've also done this quite a few times, so I know exactly what 3 cups looks like. So I just pour it in the pan. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut up our tomatoes. So the next thing after we've put in our tomatoes is that we're going to cut up sun-dried tomatoes, and these you can get in a package at the store, or you can also use your own dehumidifier. A lot of people use that, or you can actually just put it in your oven and dry them at 200. Those we need a total of 1/4 cup. All right, the next thing that we're going to add is 2 stalks of celery. All right, put in the celery. Next thing we're going to do is going to do 1 small onion. All right, so there's the onions. All right, so now we're ready to cut up the leek is the next thing, but I'm going to go ahead and start the pot cooking so it can start getting warmed up as we're working on this. All right, with the leek, I had never bought a leek before I made this recipe, so it was kind of fun to be able to go to your grocery store and know what's there and what you're supposed to do with it. So that's just kind of the parts that you need to throw away. Then what they suggest, we've already washed the outside of it, trying to figure out the best way to do this, is that you slice it down the middle. Okay, so you just take a nice really hefty knife and you slice it all the way down the middle, so you have 2 halves. And so then what they say is that a lot of times you have to be aware that in these outer layers you'll get dirt sometimes, so it's just good to kind of wash the ends of them. All right, so then we're just gonna, I just used the whole thing. I just cut it up almost like we did the celery. All right, that's the first one that goes in. So next we do a shallot, and I cut off the 2 ends. Okay, I had a hard time getting this little part come off here, so I was gonna... All right, so I'm gonna put that in. And when I went to Walmart one day, or Target I guess it was, I had gotten, I saw this machine, and I was just starting to learn how to cook. It's not a machine, but it's this thing here, and so you kind of put the garlic in and it cuts it up for you, and I think that it was a really handy tool to have. So. All right, so now we're putting in the spice, and it calls for 2 tablespoons. I have 1 teaspoon of the thyme. And then we are going to put in 1 bay leaf. All right, then it's ready to start cooking. So we're gonna mix all those together. Now the other thing that I do at the very end is I actually found this organic red lentils, and I always like to have my soups have protein because it's really important to me to have a balanced diet with the protein. And so this adds protein, and so, but the problem is if you put this in and then we blend it all, this becomes kind of mushy. So I actually add this at the very end. And so I actually cook about a cup of it in a separate pan, and I have to cook it very at the end because I don't want it to overcook because then it will get mushy also. And I put it in as the last ingredient, and that way you do have protein in your soups. All right, so that's the other thing that's really nice about this soup is I can dump everything in. It's not as time sensitive, which is really nice. All right, so at the store you can buy this basil plant, and I always find that that's the freshest way to go. And then you just we're gonna take 1/4 cup of fresh basil off. We've let the whole pot simmer for about 30 minutes, and that way everything's kind of cooked in, and then we're going to be ready to start the next process of this. And I'm going to set it aside, and I've already washed my spinach, and they're like the last processes that happen on this recipe, because you're just going to wilt it into the pan for the flavor. So in the meantime that I've been letting everything cook, these are those red lentils that have the protein in it that I'm just kind of put 1 cup of lentils plus 1.5 cup of water, and just let it just barely get soft, okay? And I'm gonna set that aside also. All right, so now the next part of the recipe, I like to get everything all set up before we transfer the soup into the blender. So the next thing I'm gonna put together is 1/4 cup of cashew butter. So the next thing it says to do is you remove the vegetables out of the soup, okay? And you do, it says 2 cups is what you're removing. You're trying to just, not have the juice, but basically just the vegetables. Okay, I'll do 1 more. Okay, and then we set that aside. Then the rest of the soup we're going to put into the blender. Now we've got that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add the cashew butter to the mix to make it creamy. So that's why we're adding. Now I usually do half, okay, and let it blend, because it's really hot, and so we need it to kind of be able to steam out, kind of thing. Okay. So now I'm going to add the remainder. Now we've blended a little bit, I'm going to add the remainder of the cashew butter. Okay, so once that's blended, then what we're going to do is add it back into the pan along with the vegetables we kept out, and then we're going to put our spinach. And then what we're doing with our spinach is that we're going to have 1/4 cup of the chopped basil plus the 5 ounces of spinach. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, and then adding some of the vegetables back again. And then this is where I add back the lentils. And that way you've added protein to this great soup. And then here comes your basil and your spinach. And you basically just stir it in and let it wilt. All right, enjoy.